Well, on the heels of recent trade victories, U.S. beef producers are looking to further expand market access in the UK. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association recently returned from a trade trip, working for better access in Britain post-Brexit. Government Affairs Vice President Ethan Lane joins us now for a recap. Thanks so much for joining us, Ethan. And let's start with the timing of this conversation to expand access.
Well, with the recently completed Brexit, the UK is reasserting themselves as an independent trading nation to some extent, distancing themselves from the last few decades of being part of the EU. And that creates a fantastic opportunity for us, since we have so much shared culture, so much shared beef eating tradition with the British people. What a fantastic opportunity for us to help them understand how we can diversify their product offerings in country. You know, they have a diverse beef eating public there. We saw lots of steakhouses, lots of choice to consumers. And what we saw missing from that equation was that high quality US beef and that flavor profile that only we can provide, and that countries like Japan and Korea and others have already really embraced with open arms. So helping them to understand what we can provide, helping them to understand how we produce it, and that really good sustainability footprint that we bring along with that as well, is a conversation we're excited to engage in, and the timing is fantastic, considering that the trade negotiations are now underway.
Absolutely, and considering we've kind of had to halt the situation with China, at least for now, what were some of the highlights? I know that you're very well connected to cattle producers all across the country. You know what they need. What do you think some of the highlights from this trade mission are for those producers, especially those who are struggling right now?
Well, anytime we can open up new markets for their product overseas, that's a win for producers across the country. Continuing to build that demand domestically, and then looking for those new avenues, because these different trading partners are looking for different things. You know, some of these cuts that we're sending to Asian markets are going to be different than what we might send to a UK public that's looking for those high-end muscle cuts. They're looking for some of the same cuts that we eat here in the United States, and they're looking for that high quality. So, you know, continuing to look for those opportunities to grow that footprint, and quite frankly, having a conversation with the UK right now helps us in the EU as well, because it has the potential to set some new expectations for allowing some of those non-tariff trade barriers to fall by the wayside moving forward, and give us more rightful access to some of those markets. So it's a great opportunity for us to tell that story, and to really get the message out there about the fantastic product that we're producing here in the United States.
Okay, Ethan, what are the next steps, and what are your hopes moving forward? Is there anything that could snag this going forward?
Well, you know, obviously, I think there's motivation on both sides. Boris Johnson and President Trump both have a lot of ground to cover this year. This is one of many conversations that are happening, but we're also both engaged in conversations with the EU. So I think there's some goodwill on both sides and motivation to try to get a deal done and show what a great deal can look like, because it aids both parties moving forward in some of their other discussions. So, you know, the next steps obviously are to let the government start to have those conversations. We're going to continue to advocate for our producers. Obviously, that would probably include some additional conversations, a chance for our leadership and producers to get in front of folks in the UK and help them understand how we produce our product. So there's a lot of opportunity moving forward, but given the scenario that we're looking at, I mean, this could move pretty quickly. So we want to make sure we're early to the party, and that we're providing good information, and making sure that we're represented in the room.
So proactive, just about, I would say, on everything that I've seen out of NCBA, especially over the past couple years. National Cattlemen's Beef Association Government Affairs Vice President Ethan Lane, thank you for spending some time with us today. Well, as federal